Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
Welcome everyone to I guess this is our second episode of See You in Hell. I am joined by DM, who is a content creator in the gacha game space, but also huge on the Diablo side. That is actually primarily how I found him. Thanks so much for making the time, dude. I appreciate you being here.
What an introduction. I don't know about huge, but I'll take it.
No, dude, thank you so much. I was trying to work out like exactly like the people that I would invite to this, and I mean at this point in time, I think it's probably the most, like, let me explain how exactly I came upon you as a content creator and found you. And I think that you'll probably get this with a lot of people will say that they might have found you through you did a video called I'm Not Doing Great.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a while
Yes.
ago, yeah. About a month back.
Which was, and by the way, I'm not bringing it up now because I know that was a tough video for you to make, and I'm not trying to bring it back, anything like that. But that resonated with me a lot as a content creator, but also just as a person that enjoys this and everything and goes through those same kinds of things. And that was literally the thing that got me to start looking at some of, and I mean you've got a couple of channels, you play a lot of the same games and stuff that I do. I think you also dabble, for instance, in Marvel Snap, which is something that I'm super addicted to at the moment.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. Yeah, no, I play Snap too. I got some I got some friends in Marvel Snap. One of the people that helped me the most when I was just starting YouTube is like basically a full-time snapper, for YouTube now.
Oh, really? Okay, awesome. Yeah, so that, and then this was obviously, I guess, about just before we got into the 2 beta weekends for Diablo, and then I saw you were spinning up a whole bunch of content for that as well. But I mean, let me ask you this question first, because I know, first of all, I know that you've, like, I wouldn't say focus, but I know that and dabble is also not a strong enough word, but I think that a lot of your attention goes to gacha games, and I know that you're a big fan, or I think at the very least someone who enjoys Diablo Immortal a lot, which there was certainly a time when that game got like a lot of flack for not being a game that could be enjoyed.
Well, rightfully so to some degree, to be fair. So, it was a pretty big heat wave on launch, let's put it that way, all right? And just because if you're making content on the game, even if you're just like trying to do guides and stuff, like it doesn't even matter what you're doing. You're going to catch some stray bullets there too. So I saw that there was it was a very discouraging time for a lot of people making videos because of just how much hate there was just behind the game. But the other point is like as far as the complaints people had about the game were pretty correct. I mean, like I literally just put out a video today, like complaining that, dude, like you guys are getting really greedy with this stuff. They're trying to sell cross-class skins for $50 a pop. So it's like,
I saw that today as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's for me, I think it's, there's a middle ground. Like it's fairly, the flack was fairly reasonable, but yeah, the heat wave was pretty brutal at the start of the game for sure.
Yeah, I think that the thing is always, as a content creator, if you're making something like this, and it's worse. Look, I think if you're a shill and you're someone that is just doing it for like the clicks, or maybe you're sponsored or anything like that, then there's something to be said for, like you're going to take some flack, and some of it will be people saying, yo dude, you're just doing that because you're getting sponsored and stuff. But it's tough if you actually enjoy the game. It's tough if you enjoy making content for it, or at the very least at that moment in time it's something that you enjoy. But people just assume that you're just either riding the wave of it, or somebody's funneling your bank account with monies that you can put back into the game or whatever. So I understand that's got to be tough. It's this is the issue. But please go ahead.
That's kind of an interesting point. For some reason I keep getting myself involved in these like meme games. Like Raid Shadow Legends was, one of the other one that people know me for. And like both the game, like here's Diablo Immortal on one hand, like the bad devil, and then here's
It's
Raid
like,
on the
how
other.
much harder can you make it for yourself, really?
Honest to God. But it kind of fits the whole brand of like going, making fun of the well thing with the well
Sure.
harder and the well pod and being Darth microtransaction,
Yeah.
And so it's all kind of a giant self-aware meme at the time. But some of
But
the
I mean,
gotcha
that's
games are all gone.
yeah, no, that I just wanted to add on to what you were saying now. That's actually the thing though, because something that I do appreciate about you is even though this is the kind of content that you lean heavily into, I mean, you're like the guy that literally in every fucking video goes like, dudes, I'm called Darth Microtransactions, and I'm telling you, this is probably not a good thing to spend your money on.
Yeah, no, and the amount that I've spent my money. So when I was, like quote unquote blowing up on YouTube, when I was starting the Darth channel, right, and I was getting 1,000 subs a month for a bit there, and I was like, oh wow, like this is, I'm doing great, and that was big. I was feeling really happy about that, and so I just kept welling because I thought, you buy the content
You
basically.
kind of
You
have
just
to, right? You funnel the money back into the game for more content.
Yeah, that was basically my logic. It's sort of like a business. I figured it was like I got a storefront. I'm taking all the money, putting it back into
Yes,
the business. Now
you're reinvesting it, baby.
that's what you say. Looking back, it was like 50% copium because I 100% like love dopamine. I mean, I can't deny it. I mean, I like the pose in this game. I'm actually playing Star Rail free to play because I
Yeah.
basically don't ever play these games free to play. I'll put like multiple thousands of dollars
So,
into it.
so are
It's
you
just a show.
challenging
So
yourself now this time to go free to play to see like what the experience is like that? Or is that just you just decided that like out of the blue?
it's two things. One of which is like, okay, yeah, there's a percentage of that. That's not so much the full reason as much as I believe now I know what I'm doing when it comes to making YouTube videos better. So it's I've learned how to make a video instead of just having to like buy the content. Like if all my videos were, here's me running an Elder Rift,
Yeah.
for 15 ones in a row, popping legendary crest, like it's not, I haven't evolved as much as a YouTuber. So I'm trying to figure out how to get better YouTube. So that way, also I'm spending less and less money in these games because
Sure.
the reality is spending money in games helps you with creating content very often. That's why a lot of times the more popular people are.
But it's like a slippery slope, right? Where I look at a lot of the Snap guys, for instance, that we just mentioned, and with Snap, it's a big thing of like when a new card comes out, and most recently with the patch in Marvel Snap, they made that easier because the new hero immediately is available for you to buy. But
Oh,
with
that's cool.
Yeah, with the previous patch, the issue was you would have to essentially wait for that to potentially either roll into your storefront to buy, as like one of those random refreshes 3 times a day, or you would just have to go fucking ham and just try to advance your card level as high as possible and hope you randomly hit it. And that's rough as hell, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And some of these guys were saying like basically when a new card dumps, they're spending anywhere between 600, 700, 800, 900 US to try and catch an opportunity of picking it, because they
sounds
know if
about
they can get the
right.
first video out, then they're fucking great.
There's definitely a sweet spot. Like there's people who just love the mobile games that also like aren't rich that will still spend a good chunk of money on the game because like this is like their main hobby. Like mobile games actually have a pretty strong community. That's something I've learned.
Like
over
it's
the years.
almost like you would have spent that money probably in any case. Maybe.
Yeah, on
Maybe
something. Like I
somewhere.
mean, it's somebody who's like, let's say they're the type that every weekend they go out to the bar and they spend $200. You know what I mean? Which can happen very quickly. Like
Sure.
in a month, you're gonna spend $800.
Yeah.
Okay, so like it's that type of person where it's like they want to have fun, buy dopamine. Whatever. These people exist. They're real people. But there's also like the people that just have infinite amounts of money and they can dump it into the game anyway. And so the company can target both these types of people with these types of monetization practices.
The same
basically.
monetization practice. They can hit both, basically.
They can hit both. So it's very so right in that sweet spot. About $800 is you're right on the money. Which what for me has been Exos Heroes is a good example of this one. The string of creations where when a hero will come out, you want to target this hero, you pull the banner, eventually you get the by pity. The pity of that was about $800, and I had done it like multiple times per hero.
Yo.
Okay. So to get it, so about $800 for whatever the latest, like everyone wants this thing that just came out. $800 is about the sweet spot I've noticed. So it's funny to hear that. That's
which is rough though, right? Because if you think about it, like I don't know, that's like almost 10 games. So it's but I mean it is what it is. But I mean this is the thing. I always feel like there's a how can I say, a condition of lenses here as well. Like just as an example, you and me might look at this completely different to someone who just really needs a game that they want to play on the fucking subway to work every day, and then somebody else who decides, fuck it, I just have all this additional money, extra cash, I'm just gonna be like the Marvel Snap fucking whale dude,
Yeah.
and it's the lenses matter here, because that's the point. Like, people tend to look at this, and my feeling about this is, and I was one of the people who I would say I was fairly against Immortal, but I wasn't against Immortal because it was a bad game. I was against Immortal because I realized how much of a slippery slope I would put myself on if I started playing it, because of how easy it was to just really dump a lot of money on it.
So I got a point for that. One, I agree, first of all, but two is Immortal is a very obvious one for this because it's such a big talking point. All right. But the reality is they charge even more. You know how I was saying $800 is the sweet spot? If you want max one gym, it's like thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay,
Way more.
multi-thousand. So it's even more expensive
Yeah.
than the other ones to start. Okay. But then the other part is that they do a shit tier job in actually making it exciting to spend the money in the game. It's brutal to do it. It takes forever. The best dopamine you get is seeing a white box and the little wee comes out. Okay, that's it. There's no, in the other games, it's like an animation.
Yeah,
There's like a ding, ding, ding of like the slot machine type thing. So it's, for me, it's weird that it's the most expensive game and it's working. It's working, by the way.
Oh yeah, dude, 1.4 million a day and on its high roll. Like, holy shit. Like,
no, it's working. Like it's like people are still getting wings to this day. Okay, so like not only is it the most expensive, and it's the least dopamine. Like it's people complain about having to do it. Normally, you're spending the money because you want the experience, and it's working. Like for me, it doesn't make sense because it's half the reason I stopped spending the money on the game. It's like it's not even fun. Like it's arguable. It's less fun than the rest of the game.
Isn't this the scary point about it though, right? Because the thing is, attaching onto what you're saying right now, like the idea is you want that dopamine return and everything like that, of like hitting the slot and it spits out fucking gold at you and fucking coins are hitting you in the face and all that shit. You want that. And so then the thing is, I always felt like what that was naturally sort of like driving this whole industry towards trying to make that fucking moment of when you pop a loot box the most extravagant shit that you've ever seen in your life. But then Immortal goes in the opposite direction and is arguably the most successful. Which then means that game studios down the line, they're faced with the situation of going like, why the fuck am I worrying about making it look cool? Like, let me just load up our loot boxes because look at what Blizzard did. So it's weird. It's like counterintuitive in a way.
Yeah, okay, so I think Immortal, first of all, it's a little bit of an anomaly because it started as a really big meme. It started as a really big meme. So
nobody thought it could be what it was. That's
exactly. So it had years of like anti-villain hype behind it. You had the red shirt guy, like, this out of season April Fool's joke. It had all the phone memes. So then you have this whole like years of people like he's the bad boxer, MMA fighter that everyone hates. Like he's getting ready for fight. Everyone's like, fuck this guy. We want to see, And so it's like, it's a clash that everyone wants to see. So it got a lot of attention, which is just so, if you think about it, so ironic. It's about Diablo Immortal, and it's like the nitty gritty of it. The irony is palpable.
Yes. 100%.
With how it worked.
But I mean, it's exactly like you say, it's that villain story. So you almost have to wonder like how many people fired up the game and spent $5 just so they could fucking like make hateful content about it. And they still win. They still win from that. So here's the thing. It pissed me off because I was covering the game and I do it for a living. But at the same time, I'm willing to shit on the stuff where there's problems. You know what I mean? But there's people that on the other side won't keep the same level of like honesty when it comes to shitting on the game. Like there's the energy is not the same, dude. It's not
the same on both sides. It's like I'll keep my side straight. I'll shit on it. I'll shit on my own job. You know what I mean? But for you won't do it because there's a guy who's like, the paywall is in the game. You hit like level 52 and you can't even get to the max level without paying in the game. It's like, that's just like factually not even a thing.
Exactly.
You know, so it's like, just play the game. Like at least play the game. Like you can't also be a YouTuber and mock gaming journalist and stuff and then be worse. Like
Well,
it's like at least
that's an interesting point though, because the thing is like it's fashionable obviously, and it gets clicks to hate on stuff, and especially games of the stuff and everything. And the issue is that it muddles up the real conversation or the real complaints about these kinds of games, where you have a whole bunch of people that literally, let's say for argument's sake, like worst case scenario, played it for like 5 minutes or never even fucking played it, but made the video.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's it a lot of times. I do this series called How Bad Is It? Where what I do is every now and then I'll find a game. It's like on TikTok that I just,
it's
if it
getting
keeps
lit
spamming
up.
to me,
And then
it's just, if I can't get away from it, I'm like, all right, you're getting fucking roasted. And then I just download the game and I make a video like, let's see how trash the game is. And 9 out of 10 times, like it is like the worst pile of garbage that you will ever see, you know. And so that's kind of why, like, if Immortal was that level bad and had the monetization issues and the giant hate waves behind, I would have pieced out of this, you know, in like,
but it's not
so long. But you know, it's fun enough, and honestly, the community is surprisingly good because it's almost like this everyone got beat down. Like if you're an Immortal player, like you're hearing about it.
It's
all right,
like everybody's got like Stockholm syndrome, but you guys are all like banding together, right?
Yeah, where it's like we're all in the concentration camp together or something. You know, it's like there's solidarity on the level where
like we don't suffer separately, we suffer together. We carry this burden together.
Yeah, pretty much. Everyone's kind of hold the door like at the same time. So that, you know, there's some camaraderie and the competition and the memes and the drama and all that. It's kept me in it. You know, of course, I'm covering it on YouTube as well as part of the equation. So it's I am excited for D4 though. I'll be honest. I'm excited for a little bit of a break to play D4 at least on opening.
So I mean, let's get into it, right? So I mean, first of all, just right before we get into D4, give me an idea of like, in terms of like, if I can call it your Diablo history. So we've discussed like Immortal now. Are you a D2 guy? Are you like did you cut your teeth in Diablo 3? Like where does your...
Oh, I see. Okay, so I grew up in a family that didn't really do a lot of like TV and stuff. We were pretty, so I didn't see Diablo 1 is where I'm going with it. It's just to cut to the chase. I didn't see Diablo 1, so we didn't really have a lot of stuff in the beginning. So then Diablo 2 comes around, and I'm at this time, you know, I'm basically like full in old school RuneScape player. Like I'm playing RuneScape, you know, from 2001 until like late 20s. That's like 15 years of RuneScape basically.
Holy
and then
shit.
I've played I played World of Warcraft. I played it was MMOs too. I played like every Guild Wars, you know, World War, any MMO you can name. Like I've tried it basically. And I played it for a lot. Maple Story for a couple years, you know, all of this stuff. And Maple Story is probably arguably the first and worst when it comes to microtransactions, by the way.
Well, I mean, it's known for that.
yeah, it's a Korean MMO, like it's going to be in there. So you know, I mostly was doing the MMO stuff. So Diablo 2 was just a whiff for me. However, because Diablo 3 was essentially what I considered an MMO, even though not really. Then I tried it, and I was also working at Best Buy at the time. All right, because I always like work like just the shit tier retail jobs when I was going through college, basically just try to, you know, do what I could. And at the time, when it came out, I was working there, and everyone was playing it, you know, and it was like this huge hype thing. So I was like, okay, I was watching Kriparian and all that, you know, because he was doing
man, old school fucking auction house runs and stuff, trying to get like the big money holes. Yeah, holy shit. Yeah.
So you know, that was exciting. But I didn't really get into D3 at that time. And then later on, I tried playing on the console years later, and D3 was like, I was like, this was like really fun. And then the hacker logged.
Good on console though.
It's surprisingly good on console.
Couch co-op on Diablo 3 is fucking the bomb.
It's actually really good. Like I've tried to talk multiple people in that I had like as roommates through college and stuff to like, hey, let's play this game. Like it's not as bad as you think.
Hold on. Let me just let you get a taste of this, and then they're hooked.
Yeah, get a couple legendaries and we'll go from there. You know what I mean? And more times than not, people like the game. So so D3 would have been when I really would say I was starting to get into it. I've since gone back and tried to put in my dues. About halfway through D2 and all that. But to be honest, D2 seems like a thing where it's like you kind of needed to be in the moment for that one. You know, much like I expect people playing RuneScape that never played it before. It's still a great game, and there's still people that love the game that will argue. Like I will argue anyone play old school RuneScape. It's better than any other MMO in the world, in my opinion. all right?
Yeah.
But it's hard to make the argument to people that never touched it. There's a level of nostalgia related to it.
Yeah, but the point is, it's like, the thing is, like, a lot of stuff. I don't know if you could say like lasts longer than it should, because I'm not trying to say that about RuneScape. But the thing is, like, everything clearly has a moment where it like really fucking peaks.
That's true.
And it is literally that, though. I know people don't like this idea of like that there's FOMO, and that, you can make your own experiences and everything. Fucking cool story, bro. The thing is, some of these things you had to be there. You had to be there.
Yeah.
And I definitely think like RuneScape is one. Like, I, for instance, no fucking idea about RuneScape. Was never around, everything like that. But I can see that there was this moment. And I mean, even look at some of the creators, right, in the space that game produced. Like, they've never been able to hit that again. And that's not to their fault or anything like that. It's just like the game's just never been at that point again. I think the
Yeah,
thing
it
with Diablo
still
2 for
happens.
me. Yeah, exactly. The thing with Diablo 2 for me is that it's obviously enough time has passed now, that I'm talking about OG, obviously Diablo 2, that people remember it with these insane rose tinted glasses. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it wasn't a fucking great game. It was. In my opinion, still the best Diablo ever made. But that doesn't change the fact that game was, like, for instance, pre-patch 1.9 and post-patch 1.9, we were talking two completely different games. And it had, like any fucking game, it had its problems or anything like that. But it was a good game. I'm not gonna take that away from it. But that, to me, like my journey would really be, I played Diablo 1. It was back in the day, 486 DX fucking 100, whatever, like. But Diablo 2 was the GOAT, was the one that I played. But now I did not enjoy Diablo 3 all that much. And primarily my criticism for it comes from two places which most people tell me, like, get the fuck over it. But it's the first one that I found that it was, and I'm sorry, it just wasn't gothic enough. It just wasn't like,
Oh, we agree. Like,
it didn't lean
everyone's
into the
got rainbow
mythos enough.
wings, and there's
Yeah.
unicorns everywhere, and, it's yeah, it looked like it's Fortnite skins everywhere. It's kind of my issue with it, is it's very bright,
Well, there's this meme, right, where it goes like season 1 in a game and everybody's dressed up in like the fucking combat fatigues and shit, and then it goes like season 6 and people are standing with like the unicorn horn on and all that stuff. And I felt like Diablo 3 really, even though there wasn't really seasons, I just mean like it leaned into this very colorful palette and kind of
Yeah.
broke away a lot from like the dark and gothic and very kind of like almost disturbing things that you saw in Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. Which is honestly something that to me, it goes synonymous with the series. So it felt weird that it was excluded.
Agree.
I mean, the cow level was that's the most famous example for me, really, because if you go from Diablo 2's cow
Yeah.
level to that cow, you're like, what the fuck is this? It's
Yeah,
just very weird.
was it Whimsyville or something that they call it?
With
I
the with the like little colorful unicorn.
That's the one I'm thinking of when I'm saying, like, rainbow and unicorns.
No,
Like,
100%. That is, I knew exactly what you said, and I knew what you were talking about.
yeah, it's a little
So,
brutal,
yeah.
but
Just not like a fan of that. But now, getting to Diablo 4, at least in this case, it's a step in what I would consider the right direction. There's a lot of focus on. It's almost like, to me, it feels like Diablo 4 is like the greatest hits of the series, because it's bringing a lot of the different things from that you could have potentially been really a fan of back in the day. But it's also reuniting, I feel, really into the lore and stuff, which I kind of am, but I'm also not like a lore, super G.
yeah, I
But
never really get into the lore much, to be fair.
yeah, it's also like you're gonna have to read your way through about, like, I don't know, 14,000 pages of stuff and shit. So
Yeah, ain't gonna do it.
no, I just don't have the time. That's unfortunate. But I do enjoy it, and I do appreciate the effort that Blizzard makes on world building. I do.
To be fair, it's, and plus the voice acting tends to be quite good.
Oh yeah. And I mean, that's back in like full cylinders in Diablo 4. Lorath, Nor, like some of the voices that we've managed to hear so far, even Lilith and stuff is top notch. And something that I enjoy, I think I either said it in a video before, I might have said it somewhere else, but I'm fucking hitting on this point the entire time now, is with the inclusion of the fact that you have like the cinematics made with the game engine now with your own character. It personalizes a lot of the story and stuff. So while, trust me, I like me some Blizzard cutscenes. The stuff is good. I like the fact that it feels a little bit more personal this time around.
I think the cinematics that Blizzard does are probably like some of the best, if not the best in the industry. I mean, they're that and to be fair, Riot. Like Riot's the other company that seems to do a pretty insane job with their cutscenes and animations, etc.
Yeah.
Well, back to your point real quick about the color palettes, because D3 completely agree, 100% on the same page. I would argue D4 from what I've seen. And again, I didn't play all the way, tons of D2. I did play remastered, a bit. I didn't play D1 at all, but D4 to me seems like arguably the darkest and most gory out of all of them. I mean, we have the guy who's like actually flayed alive and like screaming for more and more pain and stuff. Like it's just like, and that's Act 1. We only seen Act 1.
Yeah, that's your first 2 hours with the game. You run across that.
Exactly. Right on the nose with it. So for me, it's like how much more do I actually want into the game at this point? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's pretty. I feel like they're pretty there. I will say that like in more though there isn't like a whole bunch. There isn't like a ton of gore, but it's like a mobile game. I think they have to tone
it down a lot though, just because of the risk that it's mobile and all of that stuff.
Yeah, it's there's I'm sure a lot more kids are playing it more though than PC games, with the
no, for sure, 100%. But so, I mean, now you obviously you spent time, I'm pretty sure, in both beta weekends, I guess, and I think by now you've probably oh yeah, I did see your scorecard, your beta scorecard, right? Which was pretty fucking. I think you had me by like maybe 15 or 16 hours or something like that, and I thought I was like no lifing the shit out of it, but no, that was
hours, impressive. Which was completely unnecessary because it's only 1 to 25, and it's like I don't need to make 7 characters to 25 like I did. It's just kind of a little bit of a waste of time.
But you played each character to 25, right? So you got like
multiple times, yeah.
Okay. And I mean, then obviously the fucking elephant in the room is here. What's your main starting launch on 1st of fucking June? What are you maining?
So you're talking the actual like go time. Okay, yes. So the original idea, which I'm slowly getting talked out of, is playing hardcore druid. On
right off the rip,
right off the rip. Because here's my logic, right?
Holy shit!
It seems like the biggest clown fiesta of the time to do it.
I will say now, I don't agree. I don't think it's a clown idea at all, and I'll tell you why. But please continue.
Okay, because my logic is the best experience I'll ever have on hardcore is full fucking sin, blind into it. Right, I mean, you can't really get any better than that.
Is that the fucking butcher?
So yeah, I'm thinking about just going full balls deep and just all the way in the hardcore. And if I die, I die. But let's try the one shot it. You know
just
what
roll
I mean?
the dice. Just see what happens.
Yeah, go for it. For the love of the game. So I that's kind of what I'm considering. Now the counter argument is, DM, you're trying to make YouTube videos. So like if your character dies, how are you gonna make a fucking you know what I mean? You're gonna be back to level 1 again. You're gonna need to do 30 hours of grinding.
I guess my counterpoint to that would be that because you stream as well as make content, right? And so the point is that for the and this puts way much more stress on you though. But it would be to almost in a way divide your efforts and have the hardcore druid be like your stream guy that you're pushing content with, but have like another class or something like that you're playing on the side, maybe when you're not streaming.
Yeah, like a sorcerer or that is the logistical probably best way of handling that. Like having something.
But that's a lot of free time, man. Like holy shit. Like,
and to be fair, this is all I do, so it's not like I have something else going on. But I do have like projects I'm working on in real life, and then I like to sleep, and then I'm trying to do. Say
there's also this very important thing out there called sleeping, right? which some people enjoy. But...
Yeah, and I will feel like I'm gonna throw up, like I'll get like nauseated if I don't sleep enough. Like that's my body's response. Like I'll just feel like I feel nauseous.
Okay, well that's a good effort on your body to just remind you, like, yo, bro, go catch some fucking Z's. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's it's also kind of a bummer because it's really hard for me to like push through. Like I very
Sure.
rarely can do these 24-hour things, but I can do
Yeah.
like 16 hours a day, multiple,
Could you do
days
them
in there.
back in the day? Is it something that you outgrew now, or has that always been
It's
like a
I
thing?
think it's coming with age and like
Yeah.
lack of taking care of myself on the level that I should be. You know what I mean?
That's what I was trying to get at, because I'm also like I often go like, yo, bro, Spartan genes over here, but I can't do the fucking shit I did like 5 years ago, or even
Yeah,
3
I mean,
years
I'm
ago for that
32
matter.
now. I'm not exactly old, but I am, I'm in the 30s now as
Yeah,
opposed to when I was 18, 19. I mean, I could game all day every day and
yeah.
drink
4
Mountain
days in
Dew
a
and eat
row, no fucking
Doritos and be
problemo.
fine.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, exactly. Get that
yeah,
Mountain Dew up in you.
yeah, exactly. But now it's like I can,
Yeah.
Red Bull coffee, whatever it is, it ain't gonna
Nothing,
work. Like
nothing works, dude. It has to be like fucking adrenaline to the heart or something with an EpiPen or something. Maybe that'll work. I don't know.
something like that will wake you up. Otherwise, it's just like you got to play the long con of like, oh, well, I got to work out. I've got to eat better. Like, I've got to go outside, take my vitamins. Like, you have to do the boring shit as an adult where you could just power through it as a kid because you're like fresh blood, but you're not really as an adult. You're kind of decrepit blood. So.
Yeah. So no, so just to quickly round back on, I think if you were to go the hardcore route, I personally think that the druid might be the hardcore goat in Diablo 4. I have a
My
suspicion.
argument too.
I think the druid is probably gonna be also maybe the most safest choice for PvP, and that's actually gonna be a nice little segue into PvP. But like I think that the druid, like if you look at like the necromancer, for instance, the necromancer has a real issue with mobility and escaping CC and shit like that, which is obviously gonna be a fuck up in PvP. But yeah, I just feel like the druid has a lot of like cantrips and ways of potentially buffing themselves or getting out of shit, or like oh shit
Yeah,
buttons,
you're
like oh my
correct.
fuck, here's the butcher, let's go, let me dump all my cooldowns. So if you were gonna do the hardcore thing, then yeah, I think the druid 100 fucking percent, bro, like wins. The next one after the druid that I would maybe consider would possibly be the fucking barbarian, just due to the fact that the barbarian just recently got that 10% damage reduction fucking buff,
Yeah.
and also because you could just make yourself so fucking chunky with like war cries and shit, shouts or whatever. So
Yeah, and you
yeah,
can do with thorns like super tanky build or something if you're really worried about dying.
which is I also played all the characters like to 25, also multiple and stuff. I also did a hardcore to 25, which I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, you did as well.
Yeah, I did a hardcore druid to 25. I never
There we go.
died. I was able to do it first shot, but it's only the 25, so it's not like it really mattered. Here, so I actually I think druid is obviously not going to be winning any races. He's not,
No.
the F1 Formula car, but he is a work truck, So like I what I think it is that druid has the most passive damage reduction
100%.
abilities out of any way, percentage wise. So because of that, you can just fucking stack them. And then you also are one of the only classes that actually ramps damage based upon getting tankier.
Well,
So
that's the thing, though, because of max HP percentage or max defense or barriers or something like that. That actually increases your fucking lethality as well.
yeah, which is super nice. So I just feel like I'm going to build really tanky. And then you have, like you're saying, a panic button that instantly makes you become unstoppable and puts up the shield at the same time and fortify and all these things with it. I think it's Earthen Bulwark, if I remember the name right.
Fucking
And
great skill. Holy shit.
great, really cool. So and I also feel like that's going to be my panic button for PvP. So you have a panic button to like use that and then use like the wind move, which will like blow everybody away. So it's like if you get hit, you just hit the combo blah blah blah.
Yeah,
And then
it's
you
also
get
like
super
a
tanky.
two-pronged skill though, because it's like you can either use it preventatively or you can use it like as in like, oh fuck, I'm in trouble right now. And
Yeah.
both of those are very good uses for it.
Yeah, no, I actually kind of like it. There is an argument where it's not exact. I mean, it's more of like basic level of utility type of gameplay. And it's not like, oh, I have these cool, druid's got all these cool modifiers and suddenly I'm doing billion damage and I'm one-shotting the world boss. Like, that's not really what druid is. It's more like I'm slowly taking the challenge head on.
That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a little bit of like the boring class, but I think it is kind of a work truck. We'll have to see. But I think out of hardcore, it probably is the safest option if I'm just trying to get through the full campaign alive. I'm not trying to be the fastest, just trying to get through it alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just arrive at the end in one piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking about arriving at the end in one piece, I mean, and we briefly touched on PvP now. I mean, first of all, are you a PvP guy? Do you think that that's something that you're gonna like that's gonna be like a thing for you in Diablo 4, or is that like a byproduct? You know.
So, I normally enjoy PvP in games. I'm not really someone who enjoys PvP in mobile games, which is
Mhm.
like the stuff I've mostly made videos about. Because pay to win just ruins the integrity of like basically any mobile game, and not just Immortal or whatever. Immortal is the most common phrased one, but like all these games. I mean, all the games I play, Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, Raid Shadow Legends. Yeah, Genshin Impact doesn't have PvP, but if it did, it would ruin it. And so it's like every all these games basically the PvP shattered. But I have a history of playing PvP with the other games. So like, I had many PKing accounts, on RuneScape.
Sure.
When it came to World of Warcraft, I loved doing arena. I did with my buddy Kyra Mobile sometimes, Battlegrounds and all that. Most of the MMOs I play PvP. Lost Ark, I did PvP, and so for that reason, yeah, like I'm gonna enjoy PvP. I am a little confused on whether or not hardcore can even do PvP. I didn't see an
So
answer to
you
that
saw that
anywhere.
tweet, right? You saw the tweet, right? Where it's
And
like perma
obviously
fucking
not.
death.
I guess. Is it that's permadeath in
Dude,
PvP?
so literally one of the devs that was like fucking working on that last video came on and essentially I don't know, I think it was Adam Fletcher. I don't want to fucking name drop you and talk shit, but came out and said the thing that you have to just bear in mind is that there's no special like Care Bear fucking PvP for hardcores. If you die in hardcore PvP, it's permadeath.
So you're playing for pink slips in
Yes,
hardcore PvP?
because
That
there's
is
a fucking
insane.
achievement for getting 10 fucking PvP kills in hardcore. That gets you a special title.
Okay, that's cool then. I kind of like that.
So
All right,
they're leaning heavily
I
into
don't
it.
hate it. I don't
Yeah.
hate it.
Look, I mean,
That's
I'm gonna hate it when I lose like a fucking 60
oh
hour
yeah,
character. I mean,
oh yeah.
it is what it is. Because remember now, attached to that statement was a question, and I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, this was either Kriparian who asked it, or this was Asmongold. But they actually had one of their questions on the last podcast, or not, well, developer insight, right? And the question was to the point of is like 4-player kill squads going to be like a fucking problem, like a roaming teams of kill squads in PvP, and is there some kind of like adjustment happening in
I
the
did
background?
see this one, and yeah, they were like, it's not supposed to be fair.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
was just like, dude, it's called the fields of hatred, not the fields of love, bro. Like, this shit's gonna
So
suck.
I have a ton of experience with this is essentially, it reminds me very much of Dead Man mode from RuneScape, which is effectively a game mode where since the beginning of your character, it's open world PvP, so you have to do everything. And what ends up happening is effectively what's going to be a miniaturized version of that in the fields of hatred or whatever it is, or PvP in. Which is that everyone roams together, like clans form, and then the second that you like betray the clan, they just kill you, and your character gets axed out, etc. And it's incredibly community controlled. So what ends up like happening in these type of situations with other games, not so much RuneScape and some other games, is you'll get locked out and you have to pay the troll toll to even like access content. So like this clan will just own this section of the game.
Yeah.
And if you want in it, like you're gonna have to get in the Discord, ask them how much it costs, probably real life money, and then you're gonna have to actually pay that to actually get in there and get access to whatever. Now, because it's PvP, it's only cosmetic rewards, and it sounds like that's about it. I don't know how much it's gonna be profitable for clans to actually do this sort of thing, so it might not actually be a thing.
I think
But
it's probably look, I agree with you though. I think I think, look, there are certain crafting materials which have a higher propensity of dropping in fields of hatred. Supposedly it's also a ridiculously good area just in terms of like loot quality and quantity. But yeah, you're right. It's probably gonna be for the lulz, right? The point is, like, people are gonna troll those areas. It's the idea is to make content. I'm 1v4ing a group and I fuck them up, like that kind of shit.
yeah,
Um,
I'm not
and
completely against it.
no, I'm not averse to that. Look. So the thing that I compare it to most readily is I played a lot of Division and Division 2, and that has a area in the game called the Dark Zone, and it's a PvP opt-in area. So you go in there, and there are normal fucking AI walking around and stuff, and they drop good gear, and you can literally team up with other people. But every once in a while, you could just flag yourself for PvP and then just kill everybody around you, take all their shit, and go extract it. And this is kind of like the same thing. So I think what you are going to see is exactly what you say. And it's always the other thing I want to add on to that, which is very funny to me, is I'm originally from Africa, from South Africa, and like if you play PvP there on certain games versus if you go to Europe where I am right now, there's sometimes like a mindset difference. Like I've played in certain, let's call it shards, certain places in the world where the servers there are just like balls to the wall PvP the whole time. Nobody teams up, nothing like that. It's just like ruthless as hell. And then you get into certain other areas and that's not the case. People tend to team up more and it's more like friendly to the people, which kind of speaks to the point that you made about like, people sitting on a server and basically controlling it.
Well, in D4's instance too.
Yeah.
So like, it might be like exceptionally difficult for people to even try to control these types of things. You know?
And also something else that they kind of like added on right at the end of that discussion was the fact that there will be multiple, I think it's at least 2, but it could be more, but there'll be multiple fields of hatred active as one. So if you feel like one is kind of like super fucking dodgy, then there's another option available to you because they don't want you to feel funneled into one area.
Like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a good point. So if it's the type my dream scenario is where it's the type of thing where like everyone's just kind of like solo running and they're trying to get their own rewards, get out, maybe you see somebody like, should I try fighting them? Like, should I give it a shot? Like I think, and I really hope that you can't see the other people's stats at all. Like you shouldn't be able to click on them and see, like you should just fuck around and find out.
Yeah, you know like, what I mean? Think I could take this guy. You're like, oh no, I couldn't.
I cannot. Yeah, exactly. I think that would be the way to do that. And then, also you look at their gears and you can kind of like visually see.
I will say it seems like that's the way that's going to be. I don't think I know any more than you. But it seems, at least from the footage and the stuff that we've seen, that's going to be kind of like the way that they're going to go with it. But I mean, okay, so the thing is, we spoke about like taking like a druid like hardcore up and everything like that. Did you see the so first of all, let me ask you this. I think originally it was reported that to get from level 1 to 100 max level would take around about 80 hours of playtime for the average person, is how they put it.
Okay.
And now most recently, it was posted again. It was like I think it came from a Wowhead article, and then they like doubled down and put it on Twitter or something like that. And what validated it was that it actually called back to months ago. There was a similar thing, which people just somehow like seem to have ignored, but that they actually came out again. The developer, this is Blizzard themselves, saying it's going to take 150 hours to get to 100. So I guess I wanted to ask, like, I definitely think, look, Diablo 4 is obviously there's a part of this game that is aimed towards a casual audience. Like, yes, there's enough there for min maxes and for people that want to try out different builds, and certainly the Paragon board and all that shit works for it. But there's a lot of the game as well, which is like aimed at let's call it casuals. And I don't use that term derogatory. It's just casuals.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the majority of our audience for most of the games we cover, I would think.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like 150 fucking hours to max one character is surely not casual. Those are not casual hours.
Yes, but it also, for an MMO, not really. Like for an MMO, 150 hours in the game, and let's just say they put the first 150 hours getting to 100 is like 80% of the best of the game. You see what I'm saying? Like that's most of where the work is, the voice acting, all that. So the people that would burn out, like the standard MMO hopper, that like plays the game for a while, burns out, plays another one,
go and leave. Yeah.
Maybe what they're doing is a different strategy of like, let's have be the 150 hours let's try to make it where the people who were going to just play an MMO for a little bit amount of time, like they have a good experience for this 150 hours. Sure. And then the end game is maybe a little bit like less lackluster or whatever. We all know what the end game's really going to, it just sounds like it's Nightmare Dungeons. That's all it really sounds like to me. And some running around picking up the chests and whatnot, targeting stuff. So the end game can just be like standard Diablo, grind for your loot, min-max your character. But these 150 hours will be baller. I mean, maybe that's their plan. It could also just be that like, 150 hours is if you just suck, and most people are going to do it in like 40, and it could also be like if you're not including like skipping cutscenes.
See, that's the thing. There's also things like, there's the XP potions, which are inside the season pass. There's the season pass buffers. There's the renown buffs that you get to XP leveling. There's the statues for Lilith, whatever. So even if that first character takes you 150 or possibly 120, something like that, your follow-up characters won't. And actually, there's even most recently, they leaked a screenshot which showed that after you've done one campaign completion, you can skip campaign on following characters.
I did see that, which caught me off guard.
Yeah, that was a
But I
that was a
want to
bit.
know
I
if you
didn't expect
skip
that. Let me put it
if
that way.
you skip it, do you instantly get all the rewards for it? I would assume not. I would assume
No.
you just open world it and now you run around and do all the
I think
stuff in
it
the
just
world.
it opens the world for you, and you probably get your fucking mount or something. I don't know. And now you can just go out and do
Yeah,
dungeons and shit. I don't
because
know.
it seems to me like, okay, so am I just losing that chunk of XP? Like all this stuff, I mean, that's a big chunk of XP
Oh yeah,
towards it.
100%.
So
Plus
so
possible, items that drop from specific mobs and whatnot. So yeah, that would be yeah.
so
But
maybe
I
they
mean,
just want you to farm. I'm not sure.
yeah.
We'll have to see what happens.
No, exactly. I mean, look, this the bottom line is like I don't know, like fucking 90% of the stuff is like it's based off of things that we read on Twitter, whatever, and screenshots and anything. Like we're just gonna have to see it for ourselves. But I will say this. Look, first of all, for me, like I don't. I've seen people come down on Reddit and shit, which is it's fucking Reddit, but have come down on the game hard for 150 hours. Personally, I think I'm fucking 100% fine with 150 hours because I know that I'll enjoy those hours, or at the very least the majority of those hours. I'm also a grinder kind of guy, so I tend to find myself enjoying the trip to max more than the
Wait,
time at max.
are people more mad that it takes too long or not long enough?
Too long. And that, of course, what happens is then you get the whole cadre of fucking people coming in, like ex Diablo 2 guys going, dude, do you know that you could play like Diablo 2 for 900 fucking hours and never get 99 because
Well,
you
yeah, you
would
have
keep dying?
gatekeepers from every angle. They're like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I'm RuneScape. It takes 30,000 hours to max. Like, you're always going to have these people that it's like, okay, well, great, you're out of the conversation. Don't care what you have to say, and we're just going to continue talking now. Like, that's basically what I do with
I
these types
just
of people.
I just think, man, like even if you just do one character, right? Diablo 4 is fairly expensive, even if you buy the base edition, that's $70. I think 150 hours is very respectable of your wallet for a $70 purchase.
Well, also, like, if it's too long, you want less game. Am that what I hear? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well,
You want
that's
to
what
go
I'm
the end
saying.
game
Like,
and do the same
hold on, let me get
thing?
this straight. Are you complaining that there's too much game here?
Because it's not like just you have to do it for 150 hours. Everyone has to. So, like,
Yeah,
basically, they're either
it's not a
okay.
punishment.
They're setting the progression of like WoW Classic pacing. They're just saying we have a slow game.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like we have a
Yeah.
game that leveling to 100 is a bigger chunk of the, I mean, Diablo 3 takes 5 minutes. So maybe they're trying to, make the game a little longer. I don't know. I don't really see this as like a problem. I'd say maybe it's going to be a little annoying for a hardcore. Like you get to your 140 hour and then you die and you're like, oh, good. Maybe next year. But,
Holy shit. That's true.
So that sounds a little brutal, but
Yeah.
it just sounds to me like you want less story, less campaign, less map. I don't get it.
It's also considering the fact that Blizzard pours over the details so much and puts so much effort into like literally making every fucking nook and cranny of the map and everything like that have some form of identity or life behind it. And then people are just like, yo, dude, because I always find it weird, it's the Goldilocks thing, right? Where it's like this porridge isn't hot enough, it's fucking too hot. This chair is too hot. It's too fucking soft. Whatever the hell. And it's just like you really see this more and more these days because the point is there really is obviously not pleasing everybody, and I think you fail if you try to do that in the first place. But I like the fact that a lot of the decisions that I've seen Blizzard make with Diablo 4 was things that it seemed to me like they'd made this decision a while back, and even though they might have industry sentiment might have changed a little bit and things like that, and now people are focused on short intense experiences and they don't want to spend 50 hours playing a game, whatever the fuck, that they just went like, dude, this is the story we want to fucking tell. It's gonna take 150 hours. If you're a badass, it's gonna take you 120, but that's it. That's what you're getting. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
and
okay with that.
I think it's funny too that it's if they say 150 is for the casual, like what the more slow, not if you're a hardcore grinder, something you're gonna be doing way faster. So then if you're complaining about being 150, it's like, okay, so you're saying you're slow. Like I mean, you can probably do it in like 80 hours or something. Then I mean,
That's what I'm
or
thinking.
you
Like
can,
I'm waiting for like the first dude to do it in 45, and I'm like, guys,
yeah, I mean,
what are we doing here?
someone's gonna rush through it or something. It
Yeah,
could be the
100%.
type of thing where it's like the levels take forever to get, and in order to do the next story mission, you have to be, oh, well, now get level 58, and then come back, and you can get the story mission. You got to go like get level
You
58,
think
and
it's
that can take
possible
forever.
they'll have death penalty on your XP at later levels?
I'm not a fan of death penalty in any game in
Yeah,
terms of experience, to be honest. I think if you want death penalty, play a hardcore. That's called a
yeah,
death penalty. Like, I mean, especially if we're making the game for casuals, which I agree, it seems like it's definitely more of a casual targeted type of game. Um, People aren't going to want to play. Like, they just did a 10-hour shift. Okay, they were excited to play the game all day. They come home, their internet disconnects, or they forgot to pay their electric bill.
yeah.
It shuts off. They
Yeah,
log
that's
back
rough.
in next time. Oh, I lost 20% of my character, and I got to play for
Which took
15
me like a
minutes. And
week to play. Like, yeah, no, that's rough.
exactly, let me go to my 10-hour shift again, and then come home and then try to make up where I was yesterday. People
Yeah, I
just,
mean
they're
that's
going to
an
quit the
easy
game.
install for most people. I mean uninstall, easy
Oh
uninstall
yeah,
for
oh
most
yeah,
people.
easy. I mean, it's called a rage quit, and it happens all the time, and I've done it myself. So,
Yeah.
nah, and I'm not I don't think those are fans for me.
I mean, we're getting to the bottom of the hour now, and I have two more things that I want to cover. So, I think first of all, I guess the question I suppose is something like you mentioned just now. You mentioned something really interesting. You said like, look, it sounds like Endgame is basically us facilitating to run as many nightmare dungeons as possible, which in a way kind of like fucking mirrors what people do in Diablo 3 with rifts and shit. But do you think like what again? It's hard for us to say because none of us have been max level yet, and we only have the information they provided us. But is there a concern from your side that there isn't enough at the end game that we've seen so far?
My problem is not having enough in the end game is the same complaint I and everybody else have done for every game we've ever played. I think the reality is in games, like creating an in game is basically impossible if the in game is expected to be infinite content for the people that grind the game the hardest every time they log in. It's not possible. So I
Yeah,
think
and
what
that's also
people
like
are,
the 1%, right? You can't make
yeah,
content for them.
well, it's impossible. I know this because I've hit that wall many times myself. And then you hit the wall, and really what you're feeling is you're grieving the loss of your game because you have completed it. And now what you are in is you are in the procedurally generated, the infinite content stage, in which whatever game it is trying their best to deliver that. Now, I could debate all day and say it's not enough because I don't want to run the same 7 dungeons over and over and over again for my entire experience in Diablo. But then I would have to look myself in the mirror and realize I've been chopping the same tree in RuneScape for 20 years now. And so this is a problem that is not just Diablo 4, but is yet the largest talking point in every game that's ever been created
True,
in MMO.
true.
And I have since let this debate just go back into the ether. I've
Yeah,
given up arguing it because yeah, do I want more than Nightmare Dungeons at the end? Yes. Do I want more than these to chase down and target the legendary drops in the end? Yes. Do I want more than just farming legendaries and min-maxing my character? Yes. And min-maxing the Paragon board? Yes. But is that what the game is? Yes.
yeah.
That is the point of the game. And if I'm complaining about it, why am I starting the game anyway? That's just how I see it.
Well, that is a fucking great point right there because I feel like if that is gonna be the fucking hill that you die on, then it kind of doesn't make any sense that you're playing the game in the first place because you can make the argument and saying like there's never enough. To be honest,
It's there is never enough because that's how it works. Because when there is something new, which the way new content works is it's absorbable. So when a dev
sure.
makes new content, so let's say they do add something, they add 4 new nightmare dungeons or whatever. Okay, once you've done them, you're at the end of the rope again. It needs more. There has to be more. So they give you some more and then you eat it up again. You're always going to eat it faster than any development company can create the content. So they have to create content loops, which then is very difficult to establish because the loop in and of itself, you unbalance any part of the loop, it's no longer a circle. It's this oblong shape and people hate the ends of it because you're slowing down, right? And those ends are now the breaking points. And that's where you're bottlenecked at. So everyone complains about the bottleneck. So they try to squish the oblong back to a circle. So it's an even loop, but it's an impossible
It's an
job.
impossible task. Yeah,
It's
100%.
impossible. All they can do is their best. Well, is it
Yeah.
their best? I don't know. I haven't played it.
Yeah, again, that's a fair point. I think you, if I remember correctly, you gave the beta experience that you had with the game. I guess your score was 7 out of 10, right?
I said 7 out of
Yeah,
10 with my current experience.
yeah,
And if
yeah,
they changed all of the negative things, I thought it would be an 8 or 9 out of 10. Normally, when I'm doing these reviews, I will say how I feel about the game until I get bored of the game. I'm not reviewing it it's a 9 out of 10 now and in a year for me. In a year, me playing the game is going to be a 5 out of 10 because all I can give is my subjective feeling about how I feel about the game now. So
Of
for me, it's
course.
a 7 out of 10. And if they fix every one of my complaints, including the dungeons, are just kind of meh. The fact, like literally, one of the main quests has you run the same loop 4 times in a row for like 5 minutes just to get to the end of the. Like, there's some really repetitive stuff in the game. It's just like weird. They fix all of that. It's an 8 or 9 out of 10, depending upon how well they fix it. And then when I'm bored of it, I'm bored of the game. But this is with me understanding it's an expendable MMO like all of them. Like it
Sure.
has a time we will enjoy it, and then it will be
Yeah, it
time
has a
to
life
sell.
cycle. Right? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think I would probably go. I mean, I guess I put myself at 8, but that's arbitrary, like fucking 7 and 8. Let's be honest. But I do agree with a lot of the things that you say. What I'd like to attach to that is that I feel like there are some things which Blizzard might have wanted to learn, and I will say with the latest patch notes, it seems like they are, but they might have wanted to look at some of the contemporaries out there right now that are played by Path of Exile, I suppose, is a good example. I'm not the biggest Path of Exile supporter. I don't mean because it's a bad game, just because I don't play it, but
Sure.
but there's things in that game you have to look. The time has passed that Blizzard was the voice of all right in every game every time. That time passed. There was a time where Blizzard didn't make mistakes and where other studios stole from them. And I use the term stole, you know what I mean when I say that.
Yeah, sure.
Intellectually borrow.
Yeah, I
But
mean, we're inspired by, remixed,
yeah,
whatever you want to call
attach
it. Yeah.
whichever, yeah. But it's 2023 right now, and at Blizzard for whatever reason that I'm sure people will have comments about, is not that studio anymore, and it behooves them to look at some of these other titles out there and not just look at them and go, like, oftentimes I'll see people saying like Path of Exile is a good example where people say the only reason why people are playing Path of Exile is because there's no other ARPG to play. Fucking bullshit. There's tons of other
There's
ARPGs to play,
lots.
and that's the thing. So I think it's a good idea, obviously, for these studios not for these studios, for Blizzard to be aware of the fact that there are other games out there that are doing some of these things really well. And a good example, just off the top of my head, that I can think is like the whole thing of having to kill every last fucking enemy inside a dungeon, which is really fucking irritating when you're chasing that last rat that is hiding in a corner somewhere. And so this is something that they addressed most recently, where now these enemies will seek you out and charge you down. Of course, I suppose the Path of Exile solution to this would have been, okay, you only need to clear 90% of the dungeon, and then the last door pokes open, and you can run your ass through. So yeah, but I guess what I want to finish off on is discussing this and everything like that. And you mentioned that like it's a 7, possible 8, then they solve a lot of issues and everything like that, and the score jumps up and everything like that. What would you say is your biggest concern? Like, if you were to just, what would be the thing that you secretly dread, or that you dread, and that would be like just really fucking terrible for you if that was the case?
Well, I think honestly, my biggest concern is that this game is once again a modifier clusterfuck. That the only way to play the game is by having the same 3 or 4 modifiers on the same ability in order to do 1.5 billion damage. That is what I did not like about Diablo 3, and it took me away from feeling like I'm actually in combat fighting something to I'm playing a puzzle and then it clicked. Oh, now everything just dies. And I hate the feeling of I'm not a character in Diablo 3 and suddenly I'm a character and I jump 10 levels. Like it's night and day. I was starting to feel a little bit of that with some of the classes once I got like a couple legendaries. I'm like, I am really starting to ramp here very quickly. I'm going from hundreds to like 6,000. And so if that is essentially what this game is, and it's just everyone's a giant health sponge, and the bigger health they get is and then you hit billions more damage, like I'm very quickly going to feel like I don't even understand my own progression anymore. When I go from 100 damage to 300 damage, I feel like, wow, I just got strong. When I go from 100 to 8,000, I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and
like,
it's because of one item you picked up.
Right, exactly. And so it makes it where instead it actually makes the game feel less calculus, not more. Because before it's like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm moving it by these small amounts of numbers, these small. But when you have these big numbers, like, oh, well, that's just obviously the best one. Okay, well, I'm
Yeah,
just
it's like the
gonna.
whole thing of like every character you start, you're like, okay, these are the 6 legendaries you're looking for, and if you don't have these, you're dog shit. You know, like it's
Yeah, that in and of myself would ruin the game very quickly to me. If I play a class druid and I'm really excited to be like, I want to be a tanky druid, see how long I can survive. But then like, oh, sorry, DM. Like if you do that, it's actually impossible. Like the
yeah.
only way to play the game is you have to
We
play
didn't
Storm
design
Druid.
the class to work that way, so it's going to be an
Yeah.
impossibility for you to do it.
If
Yeah.
exactly. Then it's like, okay, well, I'm not really playing like a class, I'm playing a build when I pick a game,
Yes.
when I pick a
Yes.
class. And so
Like you're
I
filling out a recipe card every time, and if you lack the ingredients of that recipe, then
yes,
your shit's
and then if
broken.
the solution to that is, well, this season we're changing the modifiers for these items, so it's this season you're playing this build. Well, it's like I still don't want to play whatever build you're picking for me for 6 months
Yeah.
at a time straight or whatever. Like I just don't want to do it. So that would be my primary concern.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I fully agree with that. The idea is that certainly it seems like they are very much, um, splashing it in our face that there's going to be so much choice available for you to you. And I always dread the fact that when you realize like a lot of that choice doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
sucks because then it's all smoke and fucking mirrors. But yeah. But dude, I want to thank you for the time, man. I really do appreciate it. I
Yeah, of
know
course,
that
bro.
you just came off like a sick stream, as you mentioned just before we started. You have a limited amount of hours of sleep behind you, so I really appreciate you spending this time with us on the pod here. It's been an absolute pleasure having you.
That's been
I want to ask you, in your opinion, who you think I should have on next. If you want to give someone a shout out, and then I also want to give you the opportunity to shout out your stuff, please.
okay. Are you going to continue the Diablo conversation, or
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not familiar as much with it. Okay, so it's all Diablo related conversations. I would say reach out. You've already talked to me. If you want to talk to one of my friends, you could reach out to Chosen or Veldshot in terms of Diablo content. They both are going to be covering it. I also recommend talking to Echo Hack. I think
Okay.
Echo Hack
I
is a
know
smart
you had one
guy.
with Echo Hack, which was really good. I really enjoyed it. That was a good
I like him
discussion.
a good deal. I think he's a good guy. He talks well. He speaks his point well. Knows the games very well. And he's just a smart guy to talk to. So I'd
Yeah.
say Echo Hack. And then speaking of Echo, if you want to talk more though, if you're talking that conversation, one of the other YouTubers who's still in it, doing daily videos, etc., would be Echo Gaming. I probably recommend talking to him as well.
Okay, fantastic. And I mean, please, where can people find you? Which platforms? If people
Oh,
want to throw some
so,
hype
if
and
you
some
want
support.
to see me with Diablo stuff, it's on DM Diablo More, though it's pretty easy to find the channel on YouTube. If you're looking for random gacha games, and I'm making Star Rail videos, you can find me on Darth Microtransaction, which is the OG channel, and Twitch is the same as that one.
Fantastic. And I actually have your Diablo Immortal channel linked in the description of this video. So anybody that's watching right now,
Oh,
you can at
thank you.
least, that'll be your gateway to more with this man. But dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah,
Have a
thanks for
good
having me
time.
on.
And thanks to everybody that joined and watched us talk about the things we love. Cheers and see you soon.